Good morning, Giants. Welcome to Wake Up with Giants TV. Have you ever wondered how to create happy little accidents? That sounds interesting. First thing when I get on this morning, Nick says, "Oh, speaking of happy little accidents,
I got
right
a little
Ryan
happy on the
Morris."
I got a little happy on the trigger there with that video.
Hey, it's all good. It's gonna work out the way it works out.
Speaking of happy little accidents, I think I was one of those.
If you happen to have a happy little accident and end up on YouTube,
Yeah,
hit the alert button, subscribe to Wake Up with Giants TV so you know when we go live every single dang time.
I don't even. We can make this flash here. Ding, ding,
Oh, like that.
ding.
See?
Yeah,
Hmm, that's magic.
a few clicks.
You can join us on Facebook at Tribe of Giants. Watch for our SG groups, Sum Gigante groups. We take you through the 12 journeys. Go get
Make
the book, The Giants and the Smalls, while it's on sale, because it's not going to be on sale forever.
Nah, it's going back up. Make sure you like us because otherwise we'll have existential dread in our lives and
There's a lot of that.
feel insignificant.
I'm not sure what existential dread is, but it
I don't
doesn't.
know.
It sounds dreadful.
It does sound dreadful. Well, this is going to be a show of shows, man.
The show of the shows.
A short show of shows.
Hmm,
We're going to talk about sagaciousness and serendipity
let's do
and
it.
all the good stuff. So I'm going to cheat a little bit. I brought some slides. Oh,
What?
so,
That's our that's our
what?
effects. That's what we've got for
We
you know.
we still can't afford the sound effect
Mhm.
buttons, but one
So we
day
just have
we'll
to
get there.
remember to do it.
Yeah. oh my oh my gosh. Just get to the slides.
It's clapping in the background.
Yeah.
It's our kids.
Our one viewer is going to be like, I think I'm out. Well, I just, this past week, I just got back from Mexico from Puerto Vallarta and went on a trip that I planned and didn't plan. At the beginning of the year, I put this on my vision board that I wanted to go to Puerto Vallarta. So I put it on my vision board about a week before Christmas. I wrote it down. My toes are in the sand. And I have this in the journal documented. My toes are in the sand, sitting on the beach, smoking a cigar with a glass of whiskey in Puerto Vallarta. Pretty simple statement. About a week later, the guy that I work with, no walking the dog. What's up, Hugh? The guy that I work with, he says, "Hey, come check out my computer screen." I go in there and he has pulled up flights from Salt Lake City to Puerto Vallarta
That's awesome.
and books the flights right there. And so I ended up having a flight to Puerto Vallarta. And so as I was planning out, I immediately went into fear mode a little bit, like, oh shit, this is happening. And so started planning out like, okay, so how am I going to do a hotel, which we have a tendency to do. We want to create certainty in that uncertainty. And so I was talking to a friend and she said, why don't you just go and wing it, like serendipitously, just show up and let it play out. And so I did. And I'll share a little bit about that here. I'll show you the pictures here. That was my luggage, a backpack,
It's got his knapsack.
some
You got to
chapstick.
have chapstick. Yeah. Winging a prayer
always
totem.
have to have chapstick. So I just took a few things with me, but no hotel, no car, nothing, like nothing planned out. And so I want to go back to this quote. It's that the things that we need in our life are already around us. And so this quote, the seeds of great discoveries are constantly floating around us, but they only take root in minds well prepared to receive them. And so part of the serendipity, and I'll go into the definition of serendipity, is making discoveries by accidents and sagacity of things that they were not in quest of. This is from the Princes of Serendip, which is a
Hmm.
Persian tale from a long time ago. So this
What's like?
word,
What did you call me?
1948, maybe.
Serendip.
No, I think it's way before that. What's your name? Is that like is that like tobacco dip? No.
Serendip.
So sagacity, right? Accidents and sagacity. Sagacity, sagaciousness is having an ability to discern things in your environment. So you're also looking for things. So it's not only that things happen by accident, but you're aware enough that when things do occur, you're able to pounce on those, right?
Hmm.
And use them to your advantage. Well, when I go to the airport, I get there. First thing I do is I want, I already checked in, so I was going to go to security. I go to the third floor. Well, that's the wrong floor. The second floor is the correct floor for security. But I accidentally went to the third floor, and as I was coming down, I end up between a couple, and he's down below me. She's trying to get on the escalator. She's got her arm in a sling,
Mm.
and he looks at me like I'm judging him, and he goes, "I just had hernia surgery, and she just had shoulder surgery." And I start laughing. I'm
He
like,
felt like he
"Yeah,
has to explain himself.
yeah," like, because she was struggling to get on the escalator, and I'm like, "Dude, you guys are a mess between the two of you. You're like a whole person." And so we start joking, and then he says, "Yeah, we're just heading back to Puerto Vallarta. What are the odds that I accidentally end up in between a couple who is going back to Puerto Vallarta?" And so we chat for a second. They get in the security line. We go through, and we end up at the gate together. So we continue the conversation, and I give him a book. I'm like, I'm giving him a book.
Hmm.
And so, happy little accident. I end up giving him a book. I let him know what I'm doing, what I'm creating around this whole trip, that I don't have a hotel, I don't have plans. She's like, "You can't do that." She goes to work and starts emailing or messaging friends, and they're like, "What an idiot. This guy's an idiot. Who goes to Puerto Vallarta without plans? Like, this guy's just plain dumb." Others are like, "Well, he should try this hotel and this hotel." And about midway through the flight, they messaged me and they said, "Hey, why don't you just come stay with us that first night, and while you figure out what you're going to do, and land here." And it was amazing because it opened up the door for other people to be part of this adventure. And so in the morning when I woke up, somebody had reached out and said, "Hey, I just want to give a gift to your host to thank them for being a part of this journey and blessing your life." And I said, "I'd love to do that." So I take this money to him. I said, "Hey, what if we would you guys be okay if I gave you this just as a gratitude? Some of my people that are watching really want to be a part of a miracle." And she said, "No, no, 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 you're not going to give us that. Let's go create a miracle with it."
Hmm.
And so it was it was this right here, this quote, right? You create your own miracles. You don't just wait for miracles to happen. So infinite possibilities exist by keeping focus on what you really want. And part of that was these guys knew what they wanted, and they told me about Abril and Saul, who were trying to build their own business. And so we were able to take that $100 and go support this family. And so another happy little accident was created. My favorite shirt is that Bob Ross shirt. You know, that the happy little accidents, no mistakes, just happy accidents.
Hmm.
And that's kind of what serendipity is. On a couple of fronts, I made a mistake and went to the third floor, but because of sagaciousness is simply the ability to be a discerner, to look for things in your environment that would fit your creation. Steve Hardison's masterful at this. He'll
Hmm.
call me up and he'll call his shot, like the old McDonald's commercial with Michael Jordan and Larry Bird. They're like off the rafters, off the billboard,
I remember
the
those.
back of that truck, into the net, right? Well,
Is
Steve
he
Hardison,
Michael Jordan or Larry Bird?
oh, he's beyond
He's
those.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's yeah,
yeah.
for
If
sure.
there was another class, it would be that. But he'll call his shot and he'll call me up and he'll be like, "Hey, watch this," and he'll tell me his creation, and then follow up and be like, "Your turn," kind of
Y
a thing, right? Like not in that way, but just showing like you call your shots, and then you happily create them. This whole trip, there were things that were occurring that maybe people wouldn't have looked for, right? Like this gentleman, Juan Carlos, he stacks these rocks on the beach. Well, you would think that it was tourists doing most of it, but this guy sits out there, and that's kind of his career in a way. He's homeless, but that's what he does to stay busy through the day, is he stacks rocks.
You know what's
And
interesting is he's probably out there stacking rocks and then inspiring others to come along and make their own creation.
totally does.
right?
Totally does. And
Because they're
people,
like, "Oh, everybody does this here." Yeah, no, it's Juan Carlos that's down there.
well, and an inspiration too, as far as persistence and sticking with something, because he'll grab a stone and you'll see him heft this stone. He hasn't eaten for a day, right? And he'll grab this stone and he'll sit there sweating, holding it in place steadily, just patiently waiting for it to balance out, twisting it, spinning it, nudging it until it balances out. There's a lesson in that, right?
Right.
Um,
You know what's interesting too on this, before you get too deep, is
yep.
the serendipity of it all.
Coming back to the
Um,
surface.
Nick got the people's information, that he's staying with, and starts diving in and talking to him. And turns out that I went to high school with the guy's sister,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's
The people
like,
I'm staying with.
yeah, and they're in our tribe.
And they know people in, yeah, Arizona,
Yeah.
Mesa. I meet this guy on a beach. I take a water taxi out in the middle of nowhere and run into this guy. He happens to be from Mesa, Arizona.
Hmm.
And he comes up to me while I'm sitting there drinking a Corona, coconut and Corona, right? And he comes up and he says, I feel like I need to tell you this. Uh, I know a guy named Vi Sikahima, and Steve Hardison knows Vi Sikahima. And he's like, what are the odds that this guy in the middle of the desert, happy little accident, knows the same people uh, that I do, is connected to them? So
That's
we become
crazy.
friends and start talking. So happy little accidents. But again, that sagaciousness, if you're not looking for it, these things will be occurring all around you and you just don't even pay attention to it. So you don't even notice it. And the
Mhm.
miracles are still happening, but you're totally unaware. And so being sagacious and being perceptive means that you're able to discern what would fit your dream. The guy that discovered penicillin, it was an accident. He had actually, he had dropped something into a bacteria dish, a petri dish, and by accident discovered that penicillin existed. It had already existed, and he discovered it because he was looking for it.
Hmm.
And so serendipity isn't just about magic things happening by accidents, because we're also aware and creating it. Like everything is a creation. And so, it's this stone that I wear everywhere you are, the X stone, right? Like everywhere you are is exactly where you're supposed to be. And you're right on time and you're doing the right things. But the step that people need to add to their serendipity is not only are you creating it and declaring it, you're watching for it. I had an experience yesterday. I wrote down in my journal, I created income, a certain amount of income,
Hmm.
because
This
after
is
going on
cool.
this trip, I was short. I was short by about $1,000, and I wrote down in my journal, I easily created this, and I wrote it down. And this is important. I wrote it down as though it already happened, and I have it dated and documented, and I have images of the checks and everything. But at work, where I work at, I was sitting there about 4 in the afternoon. One of the guys I work with comes in and he says, "Hey, did you know about holiday pay?" And this isn't even anything that was on my radar. Like if I were looking at possibilities, it was something I wouldn't have even considered as a possibility, because I was looking at ways to create this money. And he says, "Well, yeah, we actually still owe you some money because of holiday pay." And I'm like, I wasn't expecting that. Didn't think that was even a possibility. Didn't even know it existed. And he says, "Well, we owe you 16 hours." No, you know what? Better make it 18. And he says, "You know what? Better yet, probably go 20, and we'll probably still owe you some money." So he keeps bumping it up. I haven't said a word, and I'm sitting there like, yes. Well, it ends up being just over $1,000, and he cuts me a check right there. And it was another serendipitous moment. It was a declaration, calling the shot, right? And then the magic of the universe going to work to create it in any direction. That's serendipity, happy little accidents, things you're not expecting. But it is a creation. So there's a balancing. It's the combination of you'll work by the sweat of your brow, and what you ask for, you'll create. So speaking of Vaisakahima, I predict that he will be the first person of color to sit down on the quorum of the 12. You can bank on that. How's that for a creation? So you notice those words there? Thank you, Steve. Call it like it is. Like it already is. All these things are miracles existing around you. The challenge is we're not looking for it. We think we can't have it, and so we don't look for it. We
Hmm.
don't believe it could happen to us, so we don't do anything with it. We're blind to it.
And I think a lot of this comes into your intuition. There's a line where s- source, God, your being, um, it aligns, and I think a lot of people bury that. They don't trust themselves,
Yeah, yeah,
and you sent me you sent a picture of on Facebook. I think you put a rock, like a picture of a rock, or maybe you put it in our group chat for me,
yeah.
you and Pride. You're
Yep.
like,
It
hey,
was
look, I
you, me,
found a
and
rock
Pride.
for you, Pride.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want a rock. It was like, find me a rock that speaks. Like speaks to you. Like, and then the next day, Nick sends a picture of a rock. I just sent it to you in Messenger. I don't know if you could pull it up or not, but um,
I can't
Nick
hear you.
sends
Don't have it with you. And
it's
that's
on
okay.
my nightstand. I could
Yeah.
grab it.
The story's good.
And
Go,
I'll
go.
and I'll post I'll post a nice post about it in the tribe, because this is pretty interesting. But he sends me a picture, and it says Ryan's speaker, and it's got this stone that's sitting on the beach, the waves in the background. And I said, it says Ola, just being funny, Ryan being Ryan. And then I also said, I went to Google Translate, and I was wanting to be funny again, and so I wanted to type it in Spanish and send it to Nick. So I typed in Google Translate, abundance is yours because of your influence for good and service to others. Hit Google Translate, and then sent the Spanish version of that to Nick. And so I did that, and then, trying to be funny again, I was thinking in my mind, well, I got to name this rock. So then I named the rock Tallulah, because instantly the show Cool Runnings came to mind when they're trying to name
Of
their
course, of
sled.
all the shows,
Yeah, of
right?
course,
Yeah.
that's what
What do you name
happens
it?
when you name something, an inanimate object. And in Cool Runnings, they're all sitting around trying to figure out, okay, what are we gonna name this sled? And one of the guys says, "How about Tallulah?" And everyone starts laughing, and one of the guys says it sounds like a $2 hooker. He's like, "Where did you come up with this name?" And the guy that came up with the name says, "That's my mother's name." Right? So I start laughing. I'm just trying to be funny, because that's
Yeah.
what I do. And then I was like, I wonder what Tallulah means. Like, it can't mean $2 hooker. So I was like, this would be a terrible rock name.
Right.
So I Googled Tallulah, and the meaning, the etymology behind Tallulah is it's an Irish Native American origin, meaning leaping water, lady of abundance. And remember, I had just typed in, like, the abundance is, what did I just say? The abundance is yours.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I have to go back to it and read it again, because it says abundance is yours because of your influence for good and service to others. Had no idea that that's what Tallulah meant. Tallulah
Yeah.
came to my mind. I just followed my intuition and just kept
Well,
creating it.
that stone is magic too. I had my shoes up on the beach, up on the hill, like away from the water, way away from the water. And the moment I picked that up, the waves weren't coming up this far. They came all the way up, grabbed my shoes and my water bottle and started taking them out. So I had to dive after them to grab my shoes. And one of the things is that, like, Tallulah's from the water, right? Like, it's which is amazing because the water came up in abundance and grabbed that, like, right at the moment I grabbed it, and it didn't do it before and it didn't do it after. It was kind of a crazy thing. Like,
I, yeah, and then it even got crazier, because I guess the numbers add up to 87 for the name Tallulah. So I just kept rolling with it. And 87 means, um, it says, to be ready for a period of abundance, good graces, accomplishments, and achievements. For blessings to fill your life, you need to work harder than you've ever worked before. The divine realm only rewards those who work hard in honesty, confidence, and determination. The lazy have no place to partake of the gifts of the divine realm. But it was interesting because, well, that's what I see is not just wishing it and sitting back and being like, okay, Where is it?
Yeah.
it's it's putting in the effort and the energy, not knowing how like how it's going to be, but that it is, and that it can come in an infinite amount of ways, and being open to that.
Well,
I've seen it time and time again, in what we do.
I think this, if we were to create some steps here for it, right? Like, well, now I can't get this thing to move. Um, First is claim it, right? So you make a declaration, you call the shot, like Steve Hardison teaches. And that's what I do with my journaling. So my 5,000 Things journal, which Nadine Larder
Hmm.
created a book called 5,000 Things, is a journal where you can actually start writing down these visions. Like we
Love
talked
Gam
about this,
Gam.
and within a day, she's got a new book already. It's like, good God, in our world, things move fast. Like
She mo- she moves with speed. That
you
Gam
talk,
Gam.
you talk about ideas. Yeah, Gam Gam is not slowing down. Well, then you claim it and then you go to work on it and anything that you can think of. You start chasing possibilities. Everything becomes a possibility because what happens is people tend to create their visions from the how. And in that how, they get overwhelmed or they go back to their stories and they create from their remembered presence. And a lot of times they shut down their dream before they even get started. So you're going to claim it, you're going to call the shot, and then you're going to start acting on any possibility. And here's the beauty of it is you don't have to be in a good mood to do that. It's not going to screw it up. It's just simply trusting that that thing is yours and then going to work in every way that you can think of to create it. And this is where happy little accidents come in because when you're being sagacious, now you're looking for things that fit that creation, that vision. Now, your efforts might not be the path for that creation. So, what you think you're doing, there might be something that happens that you're not even looking for. So, you have to allow for miracles. And I can tell you that when you do that, I've had 4 experiences in the last month that I've written down, claimed, worked toward, have been sagacious around, and they've come up in ways that I couldn't have even expected and quicker than I could have ever imagined. Sometimes as quick as 11 minutes. We created an assistant within 11 minutes, right?
Yeah, we did.
That was amazing.
Not only an assistant, but the best assistant
Oh
on
my God.
planet Earth that can handle everything that we're doing
Can,
and the way that we be.
can handle our crazy.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
worked out perfectly. You wouldn't believe the story. We're not going to tell you it all because
Yeah.
it's pretty sacred and amazing.
But I would say, if you're watching this and you're wondering, how do I create serendipity? How do I create serendipity? It is a creation. It is a creation. You're going to ask for it. You're going to write it down as though it already happened. Past tense, a memory of an event yet to be, like Catherine Lee says, right? Past
Mhm.
tense, or in the present, not how you did it, only that it is. And this is what you're writing. It is this thing that I desire in my life, not want, because the word want means to be without. So to desire it means that you're going to seed it, give birth to it, impregnate it, this idea in some form, to sire it. And so this is what I'm creating. This is already mine. And then working toward it as though it will be. And the idea of anticipation, the word anticipation means to bring into your space more quickly. It's like a woman who's pregnant starts preparing the baby's room, even though the baby's 9 months out. The moment she finds out she's pregnant, she starts buying baby clothes and formula and diapers and anticipating the receipt of this thing. And I think all too often we shut it down and we think, well, I can't have it. So we don't put any energy into it. And therefore, there's nothing to be sagacious about because you're not looking for anything because you don't think you can have it.
Hmm.
And how often do we shut down our own dreams just because we don't believe it could even be a possibility? Or somebody says something, they're like, ah, you can't do that. Remember the last time
Hmm.
you tried that and how that went? And then you're like, oh yeah, I'll remember that story just so I could shut down my dreams and visions. Like, why would you do that? Stop listening to them. I'm preaching now, brother.
I'm listening. I'm sitting here like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Uh-huh.
mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Just
Amen.
like
Again.
Tana. She's
Hallelujah.
yes, yes,
Yep.
and so much yes.
Start shaking and dancing.
Yeah.
Uh, but really, like truthfully, a lot of times we don't get what we want or desire in our lives because we just don't believe what we can do it. And then therefore we don't act on it. Therefore we don't look for it. And I'm blown away by the miracles that are happening in this group, the things that have been created from this group, the Tribe of Giants, and more.
Hmm.
And you, the viewer, like, stop doing that to yourself, because you are the creator. You are the ultimate one that decides what you pass the plate. I'm ready to give. Yes, brother. Throw up that Patreon account. Let's fill those coffers up. Um, Brothers and sisters, you're going to get blessings for serving us today.
We have a Patreon account.
No, no, not. Yeah, we need one. Uh, yeah, but truthfully, start claiming things in your life, even little things. Start with small things if you want. Go for big things. It doesn't matter, but call the shot. Call the shot. Start working for it in any way you can imagine. Whatever, everything's a possibility. When nothing is certain, everything's a possibility. And then allow for things to play out magically, things you couldn't even think of. And be sagacious. Start looking for things to come in, because that you're gonna, like, the people on the stairs, they could have said, "Hey, we're on our way to Puerto Vallarta," and I wouldn't have heard a damn thing, right? So be willing to act on the things that come into your space, because they are going to come into your space. And so this is a practice. This is something that you'll gain more and more faith around this, because you'll see it start to fulfill. And that's what we've started doing, is documenting these, because it is mind blowing, and we're not the only ones. Anyway,
If you're into some good reads to start learning about this, because um, I think that's some of it is a game of learning and putting into practice these things. Like, if it comes overnight for you, then fantastic. That's amazing. Go do it. Um, but if you want to start learning about some of these things, there's books like Into the Magic Shop,
it's a good
um,
one. Yeah,
A Happy Pocket Full of Money.
really good one.
There's audios, there's free stuff that you can find on YouTube. You can go listen to Neville Goddard. You can go listen to I don't know, The Secret. This the
The
Earl
feeling
Nightingale.
feeling
You,
is the secret.
you can go in there and The
Yeah,
Feeling is Secret is with Neville Goddard. The Strangest Secret is Earl Nightingale. It's
yeah,
about 40 minutes long, and on 2 speed it's pretty dang quick, so you can
pretty dang
fire that
quick.
thing up, yeah, pretty dang quick. On a morning commute, you could fire that up and learn and start figuring this whole thing out and how it works,
Yeah,
and then start practicing it. start,
practice.
start yeah start writing
Yep.
it down and like it already is,
Call the shot off the
whatever you want.
billboard, off the
Hmm.
off the rafters,
You go
into the
Larry
realm.
Bird on this, you go Steve Hardison on this thing.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
the
assuming
toe.
Larry was more Steve Hardison.
It's that tow truck driver distinction, that everything is a creation. Every moment is a creation. You decide how you're going to engage with every single moment. And so how you show up is up to you. And so coincidence is a certainty. Yeah, we say that. Like, what are the odds of this? Yeah, ridiculously low and surprisingly high. We keep sending texts to each other, and then
And then
dot dot dot, right? And then we're like, what? Tell me. And that's all that goes out, is and
and
then,
then yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
we
this.
leave cliffhangers. It's fun. That's our
Let's see if we can put it
relationship.
up here. There we go.
Yep.
So go play with it, guys. You are doing exactly what you should be doing. But the thing is now
Yep.
is
And then that's how we're gonna end our show.
yeah. Well, that's it, folks. No, but now be aware and start looking for things that are coming into your space that you might be missing because you're
Yeah.
not looking. So start looking. Be sagacious. Sagacious. Sagacity. Yes.
Full of sagacity.
Don't be a geisha. Be sagacious. It's different.
Got an awful case of sagacity.
I got sagacity. Sweet, guys. Anything else, brother?
That's great. You're right on time. I'm gonna steal your line. See?
Yeah, I'll do this while you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right on time. Get out there. Go make it a giant day, Giants. Remember, we love you.
And we'll see you in the next video.
Love you too.
Maybe.
Maybe we'll see you. And then
And then.